Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 485, Setting Intentions for 2024 with us.
All right, everybody. In this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we're taking a deep dive into the past year and exploring highlights, lowlights, celebrations, achievements, and learning from our challenges. We're going to say goodbye to the old, and we're going to set our sights on a new year. So we wanted to share a little bit with you today.
Along the way, we'll leave you with questions for reflection and intentions for yourself, inviting you to join us in this thoughtful conversation on personal growth, podcast milestones, and the possibilities that await. So whether you're a longtime listener or a newcomer to the Plant Trainers community, grab a comfortable seat, tune in, and let's cultivate inspiration together on the Plant Trainers Podcast. Here we go.
Hey everyone, now it's more important than ever to stay close and connected to us as we're going to be making some changes here at Plant Trainers. So please head over to planttrainers.com and get our plant-based comfort foods recipe book for free. That's a $14.99 value just by signing up for our newsletter so that you can know what changes are, because we want to make sure that we stay in touch.
And now for a moment of gratitude.
I'm grateful for all experiences. You've probably heard the saying that life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. And everything that's happened in this last year, I'm grateful for it. It's making me grow and it's making me a better person.
Grateful for the holiday season. Wishing all of you a happy and healthy holiday and new year. And enjoy the show.
All right, everybody, here we go. Happy holidays to you. If you're listening to this on the day it's released, if you celebrate Christmas, I hope you had a great Christmas. To those of you that celebrate other holidays this time of year, happy holidays. And we're looking forward to a amazing new year coming up. And what we wanted to do today is what we normally do this time of year, either late December or early January, is take a little look at what's happened in our lives and look forward and set intentions or set goals for the next year. So what we thought about while we were thinking about setting goals or setting intentions for next year was, without looking back, without kind of reflecting and learning the lessons, we wouldn't necessarily know where we need to improve. So while you don't have to dwell on the past, it is important to reflect on it. Do you remember when we were in Mexico a couple of years ago and Tyler Norton was speaking to us about iPhone 1? Do you remember that? Do you remember that? So do you remember this? Do you want to share the story? You want me to do it?
Go ahead, because I don't remember the entire story, and you are pretty detailed with it.
Right. So I'm not going to be too detailed with it, and I don't remember how much I remember from it. But basically, they were saying how the people over at Apple, most of us don't know that there was an iPhone 1. Why? Because the people at Apple made an iPhone 1, gave it to the users, saw how they used it, decided here's what we need to improve, and went out and made an iPhone 2, and then did the same thing. iPhone 3, iPhone 4, iPhone 5, iPhone 14, iPhone 15. Nobody talks about their iPhone 7 anymore. Nobody talks about their iPhone 6 anymore.
Unless you have one.
Unless you still have one. Right, unless you still have one. But the idea is that you do what you do, you reflect, you find where you can improve, and you move forward. So for those of us who are really, really living in the past, we've got to do some work to move forward from that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a little bit of a reflection of this last year. We're going to share with you some of our thoughts, and then we're going to look towards next year. But what we want you to do is come back into planttrainers.com, check out our show notes, because we're going to leave those major points there for you so that you can journal, meditate, write, blog, vlog, whatever you want to do to reflect and move forward as well.
So the first thing we're going to talk about, I think, are major achievements. So what are some significant milestones or accomplishments from this past year that you may have encountered personally or globally? This would be personal goals that you've achieved, career highlights, major events in the world. What were the achievements that you may have had?
Well, for me, it was, every time I help a client and every time I get an email or a text or have a conversation with them about a result that they're getting, to me, that's the ultimate high. I absolutely love that. So professionally, that's there. I also hit a major milestone with the redox, and I was able to take a trip because of that. So that was personal and business as well. And then in terms of my family, just, you know what? Being there every single day and doing what we needed to do, or at least if I could speak to myself, but I think you did it too, being there for our kids and doing what our kids needed us to do this year so that they can flourish as well. And I kept true to myself in terms of playing catchball. So that was really important for me and my mental health. So those are some of my major achievements. Nothing is super huge this year, but it was really like things just kept coming in at the right times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I mean, for me personally, I think that an achievement is always watching the people around me grow and get better. And whether it's a student or a client, watching them hit their goals and their landmarks or getting to do what they really wanted to do is something that I really look forward to. And it's always amazing to see. Something more personal would be that I overcame my Achilles tendonitis and started running again. A little bit, not entirely, but still getting there, still working to get myself back into things. But that's been a huge push. And then, like you said, the family, just watching our kids grow and develop into real people and little real people who have such personalities, and watching them work through their challenges and struggles has also been a success or achievement so far for me.
Absolutely. And it's been good to see you grow as well and come over that Achilles, because I know that took a lot of mental challenge.
It's not done yet.
It's not done yet.
Still a work in progress.
So talking about challenges, what are some of the challenges or lessons that you've encountered or learned this year? Putting you on the spot.
I mean, as frustrating as it is, you got to be able to work through it, and you got to find the positive and the negative. And it's not always easy, and we're all going to go through struggles and challenges and things that are going to knock us down, but it's what we do to get ourselves back up that's going to make the difference.
For me, it has been a challenging year in many ways. Losing my grandmother, I went through a hormonal health issue that I'm still getting over, but getting over so fast. I'm super, super happy with that. So that's been hard. And, you know, kids can when they have things going on, we have things going on too. But I think my biggest lesson is that everything will be okay, and that you could only control what you can control. And if you stay consistent and do what you're supposed to do, then in the end, everything works out the way that it's supposed to work out. But if you overthink things and you over panic and you eat too much or don't eat enough or don't take care of yourself because you're super, super worried and anxiety filled because of these things that are happening around you or happening for you, then you can't be your very best person in that moment. So if you could just sit back and be that very best person and do what you need to do, then everything works out. And that was a really big lesson for me this year. All right. What is it about the podcast that you really like? So those of you at work, what is it about work that you love the best? Or if you don't work, what is it about what you do on a daily basis that you love the best?
I mean, for me, this podcast is a lot of work, and it's also a way to spend time with you and learn and educate myself further on different subjects, but it's also a way to connect with more people. And it's always amazing when we hear from members of our audience. And I could just read one of the comments that we received, and it just says, "Thank you guys for promoting plant-based lifestyle. You have so many interesting guests on your show, so many interesting topics. My hat is off to you. Keep going, making the world a better place." And getting messages like that just reminds us and reminds me of, you know, why we do this. We struggled for a while, but with certain parts of our lifestyle, we made some changes, and we're trying to help inform people and help them make differences in their lives. So whenever we get a message like that, it's a reminder of why we do this, and it also shows us that there are people on the other side of the microphone.
Yeah, I agree. I love the connections that I'm making with a lot of the guests. What are we, 480
85,
right? So some of those have been just us, but I mean, like, that's like 400 people that we've met through the podcast. Some of them we knew before, but that we've met through the podcast. But also when somebody on Instagram at Plant Trainers, when somebody on my personal Facebook page, when we get an email from someone that says, I listened to the podcast, my reply is like, oh my God, you've made my day. And that's not a cut and paste thing. They've seriously made my day. So I absolutely love that, just hearing from everybody. We're just going to take a little break here because I want to share with you that growth is something that happens for everyone and every business. And we've been going through a lot of personal and professional growth here at Plant Trainers, and we want to stay connected with you. That's why we're giving away our plant-based comfort food ebook that's worth $14.99 for free at our website at planttrainers.com, or by clicking the link in the show notes. Click on that, get on our newsletter, because we're going to be making some serious changes and you need to be aware of what's going on. We look forward to connecting with you there. And now back to the show. Where do you think that you've evolved or changed this year?
I think change has become a word for me over the course of this year, and I've been trying to find ways in everything that I do to make a difference and make an impact and create change. So working with students in a leadership group, trying to help them change for the better, change the way we do our programming, try to help younger people develop into stronger personalities and better leaders. So change is a funny word that you said that, but that's been my word of the year. So I really work on helping others create change.
I love that. That's great. And I mean, that's what we want to do here on the Plant Trainers podcast as well. For me, I have, believe it or not, been trying to be a little less winded. So when I speak, I'm trying to keep it shorter and not repeat myself as much. And that's something that I'm working on and that I think I am changing. And also just reduce the amount of clutter, busy work that I'm doing that's not necessary. So that's something that I've been working on as well, so that I could go in a little bit more fresh into 2024, having things more streamlined. So those are some areas that I have worked on for change.
Okay, so that was a bit of reflecting on the past year. Now what we're going to do is shift into setting some intentions for 2024. And of course, this is, again, practice that you could do as a listener, and you could go back to our show notes at planttrainers.com to get these bullet points for you to go through those aspects of reflection that we talked about. And now we'll move into setting some intentions. So what are some personal growth goals that you might have? So what intentions for your personal growth in the coming year that you might be thinking about? What do you got?
Right. So for me, it's just improving my health. It's not about losing weight. It's not about being stronger, having more abs. It's about improving my health and doing a little bit more each day. That will help me to achieve that goal. It means maybe doing something a little bit better, or maybe doing something that's not as good for me a little bit less. So for a personal goal, that's where it's at. For a professional goal, I am looking to personally touch 5,000 lives by the end of 2024. So that's not necessarily just me personally, but also through my team. We have a team of people that we work with here that are helping other people. They're wellness advocates. Not all of them are health coaches. So finding more people who are ready to make changes with their health, who are ready to speak to me or one of my teammates. And I want that number to be at 5,000.
I think my personal goal is really just to get back on the road and running properly and comfortably and consistently. And one of the things that I need to do to be able to get there is a lot more stretching on a regular basis. So whether I get back into yoga or do some stretching or more core body work, I think that's really my ultimate goal for 2024.
I have an idea. We like to watch the 9-9 with our son. And maybe we need to keep some stretching materials upstairs, and we can stretch while we watch that with him. We don't have to be sitting down necessarily.
Or we could take a break.
We can. And what about professionally? Do you have any professional goals or podcast goals?
I mean, I just want to keep connecting with people, keep recording, keep finding new guests, keep getting interesting topics, and just I want to make sure we keep liking what we're doing. I mean, we did cut down over the course of the year from launching episodes every week to once every 2 weeks just because of timing. And I think I want to try to keep that consistency of every 2 weeks and just enjoy what we do.
Well, that brings us to balancing priorities.
Right.
And I think that given where we both are professionally, where our kids are, and where we were in terms of the podcast, we we had to reflect and we needed to make that change. So for those of you listening, like balancing your priorities, where can you balance them? And I think that the important thing to remember is that work-life balance does not need to be equal on the scale.
No, there's no balance.
Right? There is no balance. So something has to be like, for it to work, usually something has to be greater than the other, but you have to be okay with that. Yeah. And you have to be making decisions that are going to help you. And that's what we needed. We needed more time for ourselves, for our activities, for our kids. So we needed to cut down on the podcast. So where else can you balance priorities? So besides us cutting down to every second week, which we've already done, is there anywhere else in Plant Trainers that we can balance priorities? I think we're pretty good.
We're pretty good.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good right now. All right, so that brings us to, you mentioned community engagement before, not in those words so much, but you were also kind of talking about that. So I would love for our community out there, those of you listening, to please, if you are on Instagram, get on Instagram, and if you are seeing our posts, put a heart or make a comment. Let us know that you're there. Let us know that you're listening. It's really easy to scroll by, but scrolling by doesn't let us know that we're on the right path for the information that you need. So if there's things that you'd like to see, let us know. Get in the DMs. That's me and Adam there. If there's things that you like and that you're learning from or that are entertaining, put a heart there. If there's something that you want to comment on, because we're asking you to build your own bowl based on our topics, based on our pictures above, or we're asking you to caption our lunch, help us out. And if it's engaging for you, be there, because we're putting out that information for you, not for us. And we would love for all of you to be able to find each other and talk to each other. We want to build a community over there on Instagram.
And it's helpful for us to know that you're there and that we're making a difference. That's what drives us. That's what keeps us going.
Right. And then we need to adapt to change, right? That's kind of the next key is, what are these changes that you're going to be making? Some of these things that we just talked about, but how are you going to adapt? And I think that coming back to that story of the iPhone 1 and letting go of iPhone 1 and it being a flip phone, I don't even know if it was, but it being a flip phone or what have you, let go of the flip phone. Oh, you say that 10 times fast, flip phone.
I don't think it was a flip phone.
But whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying let go of whatever the iPhone 1 was.
I think let go of it, but don't forget about it, because it's the past that builds your foundation to your future, and you need to be able to grow based on what's happened.
Yes, and you need to adapt to change without constantly thinking about what was, and you need to step into what is. Like, it was hard for us to go every 2 weeks, right? We were always an every week podcast for a year or two. We were twice a week, right? So for us to go every second week, we felt like, oh, okay, are we letting ourselves down? Are we failing? Are we letting you guys down? So, we had to adapt to change. We had to adapt to what people need now. We're constantly adapting our Instagram to change too. So, how is it that you're going to adapt? Yeah, so that's the last topic there. So what I'd love to do now is, before we go off, is I want to do a little bit of reflection setting with you. And I want to preface that with saying that what we're about to do is a little bit of a meditation. So if you're driving a car or riding a bike, you might want to press pause and come back to this later. But I want you to have a seat, and we're going to take 3 deep breaths together. So breathe in. And out, and in, and out, and in, and out. And I want you to set an intention for this year. What is it that you want to achieve? And say it as clearly as possible in your head. And now what I want you to do is I want you to see yourself sitting on December 26th, 2024, having achieved those goals. Do not make up the story of how you got there in your head. Please, please, please do not do that. Just concentrate on, how are you going to feel when you've achieved all of these goals and this intention that you've set? What are you going to see in front of you? What clothes are you going to be wearing? Where are you going to be sitting? Are there going to be any smells in the air? Is there a specific weather or temperature around you? Are you going to have any achievement items around you, whether it's, bank account or a certificate or an award? Are there going to be people there congratulating you? What words are they going to be saying? Put your hands on your heart and just thank yourself for achieving your goals, for working hard to do that. Take a deep breath in, breathe out, and open your eyes.
Cool.
There we go.
There we go. So a little bit of reflection, a little bit of goal setting, bringing you into the closing few days of 2023, moving forward into 2024. All the notes will be at planttrainers.com/485. You could check it out and go ahead and reflect and then set. Have a happy and healthy new year, and we'll catch you in 2024.
Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers Podcast. We want to make sure that you subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platform.
We really appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it really helps other people find us just like you did.
Thanks so much to our patrons. To become a patron, visit us at patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference in the quality of the show.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is at Plant Trainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at planttrainers.com for awesome recipes, a list of our services, and of course, our latest podcast.
We encourage you to email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so that we can help you improve your quality of life through nutrition and fitness.
So we hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time and have a healthy day. Or is that too corny?
It's a little cheesy.